Good afternoon. We'll call to order the special meeting of the Public Utilities Commission for Friday, February 15th. First item on the agenda is to administer the oath of office to Commissioner Hillesheim.
Proceed.
Sure.
Would you stand, please? Would you repeat after me? Raise your right hand. I, Shannon L. Hillesheim,
I, Shannon L. Hillesheim,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Minnesota,
and of the state of Minnesota,
and faithfully and impartially discharge
and faithfully and impartially discharge
the duties of the office of Commissioner
the duties of the office of Commissioner
of the Public Utilities Commission,
of the Public Utilities Commission,
said city of New Ulm,
said city of New Ulm,
in the county of Brown and state of Minnesota,
and the county of Brown and state of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Nicole?
Okay, the next item on our agenda today is to consider a proposal for expert witness services.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This has to do, I provided some background information to the members of the commission. At the present time, the Public Utilities Commission is involved in litigation with the American Arbitration Association involving claims arising out of our natural gas capacities contracts with the city of Fairfax and also involving Heartland Corn Products. We're having a preliminary hearing with the arbitrators. This will be the first meeting that the attorneys will have with them. It's going to be by telephone. The arbitrators have been selected. It's a 3-arbitrator panel. They're from all over the country. The chair arbitrator is a woman who had been on the Supreme Court for the state of Texas and has got extensive background in energy law. She'll kind of be presiding over it, but this is coming together. And one of the things that will be coming out of this preliminary meeting is going to be a scheduling order that'll have deadlines for the different stages of the case. And part of that is going to mean that we will have to disclose any expert witnesses. Early on, as these issues arose, the PUC had worked with Sargent and Lundy. They had provided a preliminary report that was useful to us. The author of that report, who was their lead person, retired from Sargent and Lundy. When I approached the company about the need for a consultant, an expert on this case, they contacted Mr. Henry, who was the author, and he indicated he would agree to serve as our expert. We've reached out to a number of different individuals as recently as this morning. I was getting a communication from a person who had been a president of Connect Energy, had some pretty good background in the area, but frankly, he suggested that although he would be willing to do it, if Sargent and Lundy could do it for us, that he thought, why don't you just use them? Unfortunately, I can't tell you what this is going to cost. Mr. Henry's charges are $475 an hour. We're going to try and save as much expense as we can on this, but it is probably not going to be cheap because we don't know if we're going to have to do testing of the meters involved. The arbitration itself is by contract, has to take place in Minneapolis. He is in the Chicago area. He's probably going to have to come here to testify. So if it gets to that point, it could be expensive. I'm sure they're going to be billing monthly for his services. I will keep the commission advised of what's going on with that. We are also, one of the things we'll be talking about in this administrative conference preliminary hearing on March 4th with the arbitrators is the question of mediating this dispute short of arbitration. And we'll definitely be talking about that. We've been asking to have it mediated for over a year. Heartland Corn Products has refused to participate in that. We're at a point now where, in working with Jim Strawman, who is the League of Minnesota Cities attorney defending us on Heartland's claim against the commission and the city, He thinks we need to go through some discovery and investigation before any successful mediation could take place. So we're absolutely going to continue to try and pursue that if it's at all possible, because there's all sorts of reasons why these disputes should be settled. But the issue for you today is just whether or not you would authorize entering into the services agreement with Sargent and Lundy to serve as our expert. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Does anybody have any thoughts or questions or prepared to make a motion to approve the proposal?
So is the I mean, I see all the complete list of rates. The 475, is that just for his testimony, or is that for
That's his time.
any service?
Just his time,
Right.
driving in the car.
And well, I did ask them about travel time,
Yeah.
and they indicated that they would be willing to cap that or otherwise put some kind of restriction on that, because if he decides to take the slow route and drive here, I don't know why we should be paying him for 20 hours of travel time at $475 an hour, especially if he's retired. I think they need to get a little reasonable about that.
I mean, in my mind, we should be paying his travel expenses, but not his travel time.
I,
That would be customary, wouldn't it?
well,
No, not
it
really.
does depend. I mean, I will tell you, this is an issue that came up with these arbitrators, and most of them have agreed that because they're going to get paid by the hour too. These arbitrators are paid by the parties. There's 3 parties, there's 3 arbitrators. They're all at different fees. And the arrangement is that we're responsible for a third of their charges, and the league is also involved in this. So I believe what's going to happen is the league would pay half and New Ulm would pay half of our third. So we'd be responsible for a sixth of that. But this person would be our witness, and he's our witness on this issue. I don't know if he would have anything to do with the issues that we're defending on. And if you would like, I could certainly go back to Sergeant Lundy saying that you've decided to accept the proposal, but that you don't feel he should be paid for travel time, or there should be some kind of cap on it, because yes, I mean, if he's going to fly in, or if we got to put him up for the night, we're going to be responsible for that. That's part of the cost of
I mean,
litigation.
I'm just saying, I understand the $475 for doing what he's an expert at. $475 to sit in a plane or in a car is a very different story, which is why that rate should be significantly less. Yeah, I guess my only concern is that, I mean, we're talking, our damage claims right now is in excess of 500,000.
That's right.
$475 an hour can chew up really, really quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So I guess I'm not afraid to approve this, but a little scared that it's not a estimate of time. And I don't know how we can get there. I don't know, is anyone else concerned?
Well, in your opinion, Roger, do you think that we'd be able to get, I mean, would other consultants either come in at a lower price, or do you think it would be customary to expect an estimate of time on
Well,
something like this?
And I've been searching on the expert issue for actually several months. The next best resources would be, there's a company out of Massachusetts. When I'm assuming their hourly rate would probably be at least this, if not more, and I never got to the point of asking them what their position is on travel charges. There's a company out of Houston that might do this, and there's an individual in California. They're all even farther away. They were coming into it totally cold, which is one of the things that the expert that I communicated with this morning was telling me, that it's going to be an additional cost because he's got to get himself up to speed. He doesn't really know anything about it aside from some of the background information I shared just to request a proposal from him.
So while it's expensive, it doesn't seem likely that we're going to do any better anywhere else.
Exactly,
And we can't
exactly.
not have an expert witness.
No, in this case, we absolutely have to have one.
So,
So-
but as you suggested, maybe you can negotiate with them about the
Travel.
transportation travel reimbursement?
Yes, I think that's something where what I'd like to do would either be to cap it, because, you know, the fellow's retired, I believe he's still in the Wisconsin, or the Chicago area, but I mean, that really is kind of a horse apiece. I mean, he might drive here. He might fly here.
Yeah.
And if he's going to be driving and spending an entire day on the road, I don't know why we should be paying him for
It's
that.
almost the same if you fly, because by the time you get to the airport ahead of time and deal with the security and
That's true.
actually get on the flight and then get the rental car and, I mean, I travel to Chicago a lot and I think the airport saves me about 90 minutes,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yep.
that's the way it is. I'll move that we use Sargent and Lundy Consulting for the expert witness in the Heartland Corn Products matter.
I'll second.
Is there any other discussion on the motion? Okay, on the motion and second to retain Sargent and Lundy as the consulting expert for the Heartland Corn Products litigation, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And that motion carries.
Thank you, and I will report back as far as what the terms are on the travel time, just so you're updated on that as well. We'll try and negotiate the best terms we can on that.
The next item on our agenda is to consider a recommendation of the Personnel Committee regarding the Utilities Director. And are you reporting on that, Chris? Okay.
Yes, I am. Members of the commission, Linda, the Personnel Committee, myself, and the Human Resource Director met with Rod on February 12th to go over some performance concerns and issues that were brought to our attention. As we were going through those issues with Rod, he declined to comment or state a position against those concerns. Before the meeting was over, Rod had turned in his phone and his ID badge, and at that point, he was placed on administrative leave until this meeting today. And so it is my recommendation, the HR director's recommendation, and the personnel committee's recommendation to move forward with the termination of Rod pending your approval.
So just a couple of questions. I mean, obviously, as commissioners, this is something we take pretty seriously. We've had some turnover in the director's position, so it's pretty big decision. What I hear you say, though, is despite the need for the utility to have a director in place, the issues have come to your attention, and you've tried to resolve them.
Yes.
And you gave Mr. Marshall an opportunity to address the issues with you,
Yes.
and he was not interested in discussing them, or he,
Not at that time, no.
okay. And in your recommendation to terminate, you've consulted with the Personnel Committee?
Yes, we have.
All right. Do the Personnel Committee members have any additional information that we should have before we?
No, I mean, I think the assistant city manager stated it very well. We met, we wanted to discuss issues. There were no comments on any of the issues, no desire to discuss them. And so we have nothing to go by but the information that was presented to us. And I agree. I won't speak for Shannon, but I agree with the recommendation.
Yeah, I do also. I mean, we did meet with him, gave him a chance to talk, and he didn't want to comment, so.
And Mr. Marshall is a probationary employee at will.
Yes,
There's not
that
a
is
contract.
correct.
Okay, well, I'll make the motion to consider a recommendation from the Personnel Committee, City Manager, and Human Resource Director to remove Rodney Marshall, Utilities Director, from employment as required by Section 221 of the City Charter effective February 15th, 2019.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on the motion before we vote? On the motion and second to terminate Rodney Marshall as Utilities Director effective February 15, 2019, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the motion carries. So moving on, I think that obviously we need to move forward to fill the position and request that the Personnel Committee or the HR and Chrissy put together some kind of recommendation. Do you think by our February 26th meeting, you might be able to let us know
Mhm.
kind of where we might go from here?
Yeah, definitely have something for you guys.
Okay. All right, so the next item on our agenda is to proceed into closed session to discuss litigation.
Madam Chair, Mr. Borgen from our office has been handling that, so you'll be stepping in to explain the situation on that to you, and I'll be stepping up. Thank you.
Mhm.
Hear that clicking of a gun? I didn't see it came in.
So I think we need a motion and second to proceed into closed session.
Move to proceed into closed session to discuss the litigation related to the lawsuit regarding damages, no, that's not, yes, sorry, damages into the water line and any other business that may come before the commission.
Second.
All in favor of proceeding into closed sessions indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, the New Ulm Public Utilities Commission will convene a closed session in accordance with Minnesota Statute Section 13D 05 Subdivision 3B to discuss litigation related to an alleged damaged water line.
So this is a closed meeting. I have to ask the people in the gallery to.
Can't hear you people.